Hi everyone, my name is Ingrid and I'm the events producer at StartSpace. Welcome to the first event in our new series, Business Book Chat, with today's special guest, Fiona Kalaki, who I will introduce shortly. I'd like to begin our event by respectfully acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land, the Bunurong Boonwurrung and Wurundjeri Woiwurrung peoples of the Eastern Kulin Nation, and pay my respect to their elders past, present and emerging. And I'd also like to extend our acknowledgement and respect to the traditional owners of all the lands you're joining us from today. So now to firstly introduce StartSpace. We are a support service for early stage founders and business ideas, for free and for everyone. We have a range of programs to help you develop your business, including talks, workshops, mentoring and networking events, as well as hot desks within the State Library of Victoria for those who are looking for a place to work and connect in person. We also have a virtual community that you can loop in with us via our Slack channel. Whatever your background, age, industry, or experience, and even if you're only just starting out with an idea, we want to hear from you because we know that great ideas can come from anywhere. Find out more and join us at startspace.hq.com. So now on to today's special guest, Fiona Kalaki. Hi, Fiona.
Hi Ingrid. Thank you so much for having me.
Such a pleasure to have you. So Fiona is the founder of My Daily Business Coach, which offers online education, business coaching, creative ideation and consulting. And Fiona is also the author of Passion, Purpose, Profit, Sidestep the Hustle and Build a Business You Love, which was published in September 2020 by Hardy Grant Books. What Fiona has created here is a resource. It's a set of tools that are incredibly practical with plenty of insights and advice from her journey building her own business and also insights into how she's helped many clients build their own successful businesses too. The activities, diagrams and worksheets are all super easy to follow and help business owners or business owners to be get to grips with what they're doing with their business, clarify their ideas and their strategies to build a clear path to success. Fiona also interviews business founders from a range of different industries at the end of each chapter, which I found was a really enjoyable way to shake it up before getting on to the next topic. So now it's time to turn the tables and have Fiona answer some questions for us today. So thanks, Fiona. Thanks for sharing your knowledge with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited. And also thank you to the State Library of Victoria for everything they do. I know that I spent many times in there studying when I was at RMIT, and it's just such a great place. And I think the fact you've got somewhere that people can go, especially after lockdown, you know, outside the home to really work on this idea that they have is awesome. So thanks.
Amazing. So Fiona, what made you get up every day and put pen to paper or hands to keyboard to write your book?
So firstly, when I wrote it, I had a pretty short timeline. I think it was about 4 months from the time we had locked in the contract with Hardy Grant, and then the book was due, and I had a newborn and an elderly father. And so I literally had 4 hours a week to write this book. And my husband and I decided, you know, this is a really big goal of mine. And so we hired a nanny for 4 hours, and that was my time. So I didn't really have a choice. It was like, that's the time. And if you don't utilize it, you're really going to be behind. So yeah, I got up, I had an Excel spreadsheet of literally how many words each chapter, every section in the chapter. And so I might get up in that 4 hours, be like, okay, today you just need to knock off these 300 word parts. And so I just did it very methodically. And but I think to answer your question, what really made me get up was that it was just a business goal and a life goal. I always wanted to publish a book, and it was big enough that I could put other things, you know, on the back burner to get this stuff happening.
Yeah, great. So it was really about having a vision or a dream to do something, but then also you really set a structure and priorities and made space for that. And you weren't going to waste time and money because you had that nanny or you had just that gap in your schedule and you had to make it work and get it done.
Yeah, totally. And I had feeding and stuff. So it was that 4 hours and that was it for the week.
Amazing. So putting some real structure and creating almost like a timer or some pressure around it is the way you perhaps get something like this so big done in 4 months.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, I've written before. I've been a long time writer for articles and newspapers and stuff. And I know myself, and I tend to procrastinate. So having that short deadline worked for me, but for other people, maybe 12 months is a better timeline.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like in business, everyone maybe has a different way of working or a different mindset, but in the end, you've got to do what works for you to get it done.
100%.
Fiona, what's the critical thing that founders need to do first when starting their business? Like, what are the really important things to learn how to do yourself or to focus on?
So the biggest thing is, and it sounds so simple, but why are you doing this? Are you starting a business because everyone around you thinks you should start a business, or you kind of see all these people on Instagram and you're like, oh, I should start a business? Are you doing it because you just actually hate the people that you work with right now, but you actually don't hate that job or the industry, you just don't like the people you're working with? And so I think it's really getting clear on, why am I doing this? And besides money, why am I doing this? Getting really clear on the values that are going to guide you. And then really important, and I talk about this a bit in the book, is getting clear on where is your money going to come from, like really clear. And for some people, very small amount of the society, they don't have to worry about money. But for most of us, we do, and we have bills to pay. And I know for me, when I started my business, I didn't have the luxury of like, I'm just going to take 12 months and see what I want to do. It was, I needed clients from the day I finished my last job to be paying the bills straight away. And so I had to actually map that out. What's it going to look like? What's my absolute survival income? What's the least I could get by on? And then I also told myself, I'll give myself a year. If it doesn't work out, I'll go back to the job, but at least I know I tried. So I think those three things, super clear on why you're doing this outside of money, understanding your values, what's going to guide you. And then the third is how you're going to make money. Like, what are those revenue streams? Where are they coming from?
I mean, in the end, the business is meant to bring in money. Or if you're a non-profit, you do need to bring in money to help those causes or those organisations that you want to support.
Yeah.
What kind of person do you think makes a successful entrepreneur or startup founder? The book title alludes to the hashtag hustle culture, the obsession with productivity and just relentless work. Is having their nose to the grindstone what makes a business owner likely to succeed in those early days or in the first year?
No, and I think this is quite, a lot of people will disagree with me, but I do not think that. I don't hustle, and that's why I've said sidestep the hustle. I can't stand hustle culture. I think it's really been hugely detrimental to people's mental health, and I think particularly people starting out, young people seeing this rise and grind, and here I am working till 3 a.m. That does nothing for your mental health or physical health or your spiritual health. So I definitely don't think that. I think people need to be open-minded. They need to be developing a thick skin, because you will get told, oh, why are you doing that? Or, why are you qualified to do that? You'll get the negatives, you'll get naysayers. So I think having some sort of a thick skin, but I also think just having an open mind and being curious. I always say stay calm and curious, because if something comes and it's negative, if you can be curious about, oh, why is that happening? Or what could I have done differently? Or what might I say to my friend if they were in the same position? That's going to alleviate the stress and overwhelm. And often I say in the book, running a business is like going to psychology sessions or psychology, therapy, where you are the psychologist and you are also the patient, because you're going to just have so many conversations with yourself of, why am I doing this? Why are you doing it? And then go through those things. So I think just being really open-minded, staying curious, knowing that it's not the end of the world. If a business fails, so many businesses have failed, and people get back up, they build another business, or they go back and get a job. It's not, we are in a very privileged position, anyone who can even consider starting a business. So I think just taking that on board and staying calm and staying curious.
Yeah, that's great advice. And for people starting their own business, I mean, the stats say that usually it's someone's third business idea that really does take off. So all of what's happened before that, if you've had another business or you've changed your product offering or done something different and you ended up at a different point than you thought when you started the business, all of that's a learning experience, and you can only really learn that yourself and in a practical way when you're in it.
I totally agree. And this is my third business. I used to sell earrings and fashion stuff way back in my early 20s. And then I started a copywriting business and like a website branded content, and ghostwriting for celebrities. And then this is my third business. So entirely true. The third one stuck.
The third one's the one that really flies, maybe. So there's a segment in the book about setting your inner marketing hater free. And lots of businesses today are founded with goals to have an impact and to be driven by a purpose beyond just making money. They want to be ethical, they want to be sustainable. So is it possible to sell your vision and follow your dreams without selling out?
Totally. I mean, of course, it depends what your goals are. And if your goals are like, oh my gosh, I want to get to $23 million in 12 months, maybe there'll be some kind of, I don't know, compromises you might be making. But for most people, definitely, it's about finding who's your audience, like who's the niche. If you're creating ethical products, who wants to buy them? And then talking to them in a real transparent way and making sure that when you're talking, say, about this ethical product, you're not just talking about the features of the products, but you're talking about the benefits. So in the book, I talk about this as well. There's an idea of kind of this ladder mentality of people knowing what the product does, why it benefits them, and then how it actually relates to what they, perceive to be the values and beliefs they have around the world. So if you have a value or belief that, we should all be a community and we should all look after the planet, that might seem very out there if someone's just trying to sell this, bamboo toothbrush. But if you can connect what you're selling to that belief and that value system that your audience has, then you can market well and you can sell well. But I think sometimes people are scared to actually sell in that way, or they get fixated on just keep talking about the product, just keep talking about the color and where it's made, as opposed to the emotional benefits of somebody buying into that product or service.
Yeah, amazing. And if that bamboo toothbrush ends up being stocked by the biggest supermarkets across the nation, as well as your local, organic shop and the farmers market, then that's reaching so many people and doing so much good.
Totally. There are two businesses that have done this incredibly well, both out of the US, but Warby Parker is one. They started, 4 guys in college. They started trying to sell glasses. They were thinking like, why are glasses so expensive? They're basically just plastic. And so they investigated that, and they have turned that idea in less than 10 years into a $1 billion product, a $1 billion company. But they're also giving back so much to communities with, eye exams, with reading programs, with one-for-one kind of program. And the other one is Everlane, and they create really beautiful basic pieces. And actually you can go to their website and they'll show you exactly how much it costs at the factory, where their factories are. And again, they are a huge business. They've done really, really well. But both of them have stayed true to that initial question you asked me, what are we trying to do? Why are we in this? What are the values we want to live by? And then how are we making our money?
Amazing. So it's really exciting to have a new business idea. Inspiration strikes in the shower or over the summer break. People have been away from their desk at work and been, perhaps at a barbecue and chatted with some friends about a great business idea. But it's common for business owners after that excitement to run out of energy or just to face lots of business stress as things start to get more complicated. So what is your advice for people to keep motivated and push through when they are facing challenges to actually thrive and grow in their business?
I think, and it sounds a bit twee and people will be like, oh, that's such a cheesy thing, but I think it really does come back to your values. Like, well, how do you want to live your life? And keep coming back to those. So I actually have, I'm literally not just, I didn't stage this is on my computer at all times. These are my values, and it's family, freedom, education, and kindness. And so if I get an opportunity, or if I'm getting stressed about, oh my gosh, there's too much work on, and I will keep coming back to that, and then I'll learn how to, set boundaries, say no, turn down work, set up better systems so that I've got my time back, so that I can be with my family, keep having freedom. There will be times in every single business owner's journey where the thought of going to work back for somebody else and just being an employee is so tempting. It'll be like, oh my God, why don't I just go back? I get holiday pay, I get sick pay, I get, so much stuff. But for me, I keep coming back to, well, I'm not going to see my family if I'm a head of marketing at a big corporate. I'll be expected to fly here, there, and everywhere, going to events. freedom. It's not freedom for me to work for one particular company. And so I'll keep coming back to those values. I think that if you can let your values really guide you, and also not just when we talk about brand values, people often think, oh, how does it externally come across? So if one of your values is like empowerment, it might be, oh, I'm pushing, female empowerment, I'm pushing diversity, I'm pushing things on social media. That is externally facing. You need to make sure that your values are aligned internally. So if you're having a company and you've got staff and you're like, yeah, we're all about empowerment, making sure that there's diversity of your staff, making sure that, if you're about female empowerment, what are your domestic violence policy leaves? What are your leaves around parental childcare? Majority of it is done by women still. So it's about really staying true to what your values are, but also making sure those values are aligning externally with your brand and marketing and internally as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you need to live that within your company and then bring that to life in the product.
Yeah, and it also, I should say, there will be times that you have to work damn hard. Like, that's just it. It's not like, oh, it's all smooth sailing from day one. There'll be peaks and troughs, but you just want to make sure that you're not consistently at this, like, staying up till 3 a.m. every day. It's just not sustainable for anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And really important, going back to your discussion around like mental health and sort of resilience, looking after yourself in those points where it's really stressful is super important.
And I know you're about to jump to the next question. I should also mention getting a group around you, cultivating, and I talk about that in the book as well, cultivating a crew. If you can, there'll be times when my motivation dips, and I've got some really good business friends I talk to each week. And, I might be down here, but they're up here and they're like, Fiona, what about this? What about this? And I'm all excited again suddenly just from that one conversation. So I think make sure you've got a good group of people around you as well to keep you motivated.
Yeah, so it's kind of peer motivation, but also maybe advice. Maybe you're stuck on something and they can help you, or even just, a bit of a change in your mood or mindset could be able to get you through that.
Totally.
That stress.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So Fiona, what is one piece of practical advice that you want the audience to take away today, either for their career, their future business success, or even some personal advice?
Oh, goodness. I think, this life is short, and I know people say that all the time, but you really want to be really clear on what's the legacy you want to leave? What kind of life do you want to have made for yourself and for your loved ones? Unfortunately, in the last 3.5 years, I've lost both of my parents, both very suddenly, with no, my mum, she wasn't feeling well, and within 40 minutes she was gone. And so that has really awakened again, life is short. And also you can have all the money, you can make all the money, and then at the end of your life, if you're not surrounded by people who absolutely love you and are going to be there for you in the harder part of your life, when ill health and everything gets into it, what's the point of anything, really? And it's kind of a macabre place to be, but I really do think life is short. If you're in a job right now and you're watching this and you're like, I hate going to work, you have to think 30% of your life and half of your waking life is at that job. So is that really what you want to be doing? Is it worth spending a year trying a business or trying, a new industry or a different type of job and seeing if you enjoy it? Like, we don't have to, we're not our parents' generation. We don't have to stay in a job for 47 years and get this great pension at the end. It's just, life is short. Do what makes you happy and have a go. Just have a go. What's the best that can happen,
Amazing, Fiona. I love it how you don't say what's the worst that can happen, it's what's the best that can happen, to be optimistic and brave about what changes people could make. And I think as well with starting businesses, I mean, for those people who haven't started their business yet, or they're working for someone and they have this idea on the side, keep exploring that idea on the side. Like, do your research, dive into resources, really think about your values and what you want to do with the business. Don't just throw away your income after a Sunday night come down where you're depressed about going to work the next day. Keep it going on the side, and then when you have actually got that idea, make that leap and try it.
Yeah, and there's nothing to say that you have to have a full-time business ever. I mean, you could still have that side hustle and work part-time. I mean, that could work for you and your lifestyle as well. Before I quit my job, I spent a good 6 months, planning it out while I was still getting this pay, going and meeting with people on weekends, validating my assumptions, getting clients to like hire me, getting contracts in place, and really working through it all. And so, and each year it's been a reiteration of what I thought. I'm not 6 years in the same place that I was in the first year.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks, Fiona. So that's about all we have time for today, but I'd like to just recap with some tips from Fiona. So some 3 tips from Fiona about what to do when you're first starting your business is to really understand your why as a business owner. What is the purpose for what you're doing? Why is that product important? Think about how your values align with that business and the product or the service that you're offering, and how you're going to make money and revenue. I mean, it's nice to have a hobby, but the amount of work that goes into building a business, you want it to actually have a payoff in money, or as we said, for those who might be working in nonprofits, to actually be raising funds to be able to make a difference to the organisations or the causes you want to. Some other things that are really important for entrepreneurs and founders is one, both be open-minded and optimistic. Hope and try what's the best that could happen. But then I think as well, having a thick skin that things might not always go right, or people will say, oh, how's your little business going, and they don't really take it seriously or understand it. But if you are true to your vision and stay with that curiosity and being calm in the face of everything that's to come, it's a good way to start, and a good mindset to have. And the last thing, Fiona's advice, which I think is really important for all of us, is life is short, and all of us know that we can't anticipate what's around the corner. So why not give it a try and try something new, come out of your comfort zone and see what kind of amazing businesses you folk out there could create.
Yes, I'm excited.
Thank you so much, Fiona. So folks at home, to read Passion, Purpose, Profit, you can access the book in the collection of the State Library of Victoria, or you can buy your own copy from our friends at Readings Bookshop, also in the State Library, or online at their website. So Fiona, where can people head to learn more about you and to connect?
So 3 places. If you're on Instagram, come and send me a DM and tell me what you loved about this talk. I would really love to connect. I'm just at My Daily Business Coach, all one word. You can go to mydailybusinesscoach.com and /free stuff. You can find a bunch of free stuff. It's also in the navigation. And then I run a podcast, and it comes out every single week, twice a week, with a bunch of tips and small business interviews. And that's just anywhere that you listen to podcasts, the My Daily Business Coach podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Fiona. Really appreciate you sharing with us today and for creating this helpful resource for business owners. So once again, so thrilled to have you, and those out there in the audience, let's give Fiona a virtual round of applause.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I really, really appreciate this. Thanks for your time too, Ingrid.
Thanks, Fiona. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.